Hey guys, I'm Chris Griffin. Welcome to the Crew XP Business Solutions Studio. The purpose of today's segment is to poke fun at the news, gossip, wisdom, and truths that we deem to be relevant in our live events community during this ridiculous time in our history. So, with that said, here is today's subject matter. New vocabulary words in 2020. This year's introduced all of us to a new vocabulary. Some words are new, some are words we've known, but now have a completely different meaning this year. Let me give you an example. Pandemic. To be honest, I don't think I've used that word in my entire life, ever before this year. I don't think I've seen it in writing, at least not since my high school SATs. I now say this word every 15 minutes of the day in conversation. Pandemic is a serious word. It's a big word. It's a dramatic word that instantly gets your attention. It's sciencey enough that you don't really need all the details to pay serious attention to it. A pandemic? Oh my gosh, I could be packed in an hour. But with a pandemic, you don't really pack, do you? Because you're not going anywhere. In fact, you need to stay home in your house for the next 60 or 90 days or longer. There's no job, there's no restaurants, there's no liquor. All right, you're going to need liquor, so you're going to have to ship it in to your house probably because you can't go out during a pandemic. Corona, there's another word that we learned in 2020. Didn't really learn it, but it was a word that was stolen from us this year. It was a beloved and favorite word for many, and not just the word. The pandemic stole all the great summertime memories that were associated with the word Corona. All the beer drinking, boat cruising, beach hanging, party with your pals memories. Yeah, like the Washington Redskins, who enjoyed their name for 87 years, Corona is done. Taken. Gone. Come up with another name, Daniel Snyder. Now. Furlough. Now, isn't furlough really a word that means you're fired, but we really don't want to just tell you that? Layoff's another word. It's not new to 2020, but it's certainly been resurrected. Layoff used to be the friendly fired word. You're not fired, right? You're just laid off. Well, furlough is the new layoff for layoffs. It's vague. It leaves you with hope, but it leaves you feeling that, you may be coming back. It implies we might hire you back at some unspecified point in the future, but we don't really have to hire you back. And if we do hire you back, you may not be doing the same thing that you were doing before. And you may not be paid the same amount. You know why? Because you've been furloughed. Pivot. Now there's a word that used to mean to turn, a sudden shift in direction, to alter your angle, often heard on high school basketball practices. But in 2020, we learned that pivot has a completely different meaning. In 2020, pivot means find something new to do. Listen, you're going to just sit there for 3 or 4 or 5 months, and you just think about what you'd like to do with the rest of your life. Because that job you had, that business you owned, well, that's over. Okay? Because it's time to pivot. Dwell. Dwell's a word we've heard this year and always had several meanings. It used to maybe describe where a person resided. They lived, what their dwelling was. Okay, maybe it's someone who lingered or lollygagged. Perhaps they just loitered, dwelling around. But now, GBAC certification uses dwell entirely differently. In the world of biohazard enhanced cleaning, dwell time refers to how long a disinfectant chemical should remain on a surface to effectively work its magic. Binging is another 2020 vocabulary word that gained a lot of traction this year. Binging traditionally means doing something to excess, which really can't be good for you, generally speaking. Specifically, the word binge watching became a thing this year with so much at home time. We binge-watched Netflix. We binge-watched old movies. We binge-watched Joe Exotica, the Tiger Guy, which too much of any of that just can't be a good thing. The question for fellow Americans is, why didn't we binge-watch good things for us? We could have binge-watched the Scripture Channel, or binge-watch our kids playing in the backyard. We could have binged out on reading self-help books, or binged out on eating good things like vegetables, or oatmeal, or kale. But no, we chose to uphold the tried and true tradition of the excessive intake of unhealthy things. Not good for us. Canceled. There's another 2020 word that redefined itself this year. I honestly hated the word canceled before. But from March through August of this year, I heard it 10 times a week. Now I really hate it. Everything gets canceled nowadays. It's my understanding you can even cancel a person now. Mitigate. I'll be honest, I'm still a little unclear about that one, what that means. I didn't use it before. I don't really intend to use it in the future. PPP. Now, I don't know if I hate the letter P now or if I love it, but I'm sick of it. And not just because there are 3 Ps in a row. That's not given me any greater clarity. In 2020, we business owners craved PPP. It became like a drug. Hey, did you get any PPP this year? Yeah? I know. Me too. How much did you get? Dude, did you hear that they extended PPP for a period of time? It was 8 weeks, now it's 24 weeks. Yeah. Even just news of PPP sounds dysfunctional and dirty as our elected officials argue over it, disagree over it. They've rationed it out and debated whether it's good for us or not, or whether we really needed it. Acrylic is another 2020 word. Before 2020, it was a material that many in our industry used as an accessory when building exhibits. Now it is the most on-demand material on the planet. And I must tell you, I am sick of acrylic. I have a serious attitude about acrylic. I don't know why. I mean, it's clear, it's see-through, it doesn't smell, it's used to help people. And yet, I'm angry at acrylic now. Temporary hospital structures. There's a new phrase this year. And I'll be honest, I was never crazy about the permanent ones. Essential. Now, there's a word this year that really hurt to hear the change in 2020. You've taken away what's always been a very positive and important word. Some would say it might even is an essential word. And you've made it the most Judgy McJudgerson word this year. I mean, think about the word essential, how it's being used. Only essential workers can go to work. Only essential businesses can open. We need to make only essential products this year. Your company makes t-shirts and sundresses, something one would consider essential clothing. But no, close your business. But if you're willing to cut up those dresses, sew them into little oval pieces with elastic ear flaps, well, then we'll let you open. Because now you're essential. Happy hour. Now, I've got mixed emotions about the term happy hour. We've always associated it with cocktails and drinking. And now, during the pandemic, we have these Zoom happy hour meetings at all hours of the day. So now I'm day drinking, right? I'm at home. I'm by myself in front of a screen. Now, we used to call that person sad and pathetic. But now, you're a business professional. WFH, which stands for work from home. WTF, WFH. I mean, now they're warning us about WFH fatigue, work from home fatigue. Now, I don't know how you beat that, because home is now your office. It's your gym. It's your school. And it's your daycare center. If being at home triggers fatigue, where are you supposed to go to get away from WFH fatigue? You can't go home. Fatigue is another 2020 word that pisses me off. And we now have all types of fatigue to deal with: social media fatigue, social distancing fatigue, social justice fatigue, political fatigue. Turn on the news. There's one scandal after another. I mean, we now have scandal fatigue. I have fatigue. I'm so fatigued, I welcome depression. Depression would be an upgrade to fatigue. There's certainly more new vocabulary words that we've all experienced this year. Please drop a comment below. Share your most ridiculous or redefined vocabulary words that you've learned this year in 2020. Let's contact trace these hybrid vocabulary words. Let's quarantine them so that frontline citizens can zoom in and mitigate the effects of these super spreaded terms. Until next time, this is Chris Griffin in the Crew XP Business Solutions Studio, reminding you to think beyond your inbox as we all look to reopen, rebuild, and reactivate our businesses.